Hi there, this is Solitary Ronan from Solitary Ronan Films, and welcome to another episode of Filmstock. Today I'm going to have a chat about films that deserve a Blu-ray release, but this is a progress report. So after I'd started this channel, I did 5 videos between August and October 2018 where I listed 10 films that deserve a Blu-ray release. So I just thought I would do this video just as a progress report to see how many of those 50 in about the 2.5 years since those videos have actually had a Blu-ray release. I kind of stopped doing those kind of videos just because you could literally do a video a day of 10 films that deserve a Blu-ray release. But I thought this was a nice video to do, for new subscribers to see what kind of films that I had asked for. I'd kind of wished for to get a Blu-ray, which ones are still on that pending list, just as a fun exercise. I'm not going to do any more videos because again that could be another 5 videos with 10 each. So I'll just quickly go through the ones that are pending. So just to go straight into spoilers, 21 out of the 50 from those 5 videos now have a Blu-ray release. Again, let me know in the comments if the other 29 that I'm going to list that don't have a Blu-ray release actually do have a Blu-ray release, or a Blu-ray release that's coming. But 21 out of 50 is not too bad, especially considering some of them are landmark films that I was really excited about getting a Blu-ray release for. So I think it's been a pretty successful 2.5 years to get 21 out of the 50. So I'll just quickly go through the remaining 29 on the list. Again, these are just personal choices. I'm sure, again, you can write in the comments 5 films that you think should get a Blu-ray release that don't currently have one. So, no particular order, but Buddy Buddy, Billy Wilder's last film with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, still is waiting for a high definition release. The Fastest Gun Alive, a really nice Glenn Ford western. Felicia's Journey, probably Atom McGowan's last truly great film. Deep Cover, the Bill Duke film with Larry Fishburne and Jeff Goldblum. Bringing Up Baby, which is a really strange one that still doesn't have a Blu-ray release. There is a dodgy Spanish Blu-ray, which is apparently not even much above standard definition. I mean, Howard Hawks, Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, and it doesn't have a Blu-ray release. It's very strange. One False Move, Carl Franklin's wonderful neo-noir western with Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton. The Funeral, Abel Ferreira's truly great film with Christopher Walken and Chris Penn, Benicio del Toro, Vincent Gallo. The film he made pretty much back to back with The Addiction. The Addiction has an Arrow release, but still The Funeral doesn't have one. Bangkok Dangerous, the original Pang Brothers, not the Nicolas Cage film. Coupe de Ville, wonderful little Daniel Stern, Alan Arkin road movie featuring the famous car. Save the Tiger, the Jack Lemmon wonderfully bleak 70s film, a no indicator of released Missing and the China Syndrome. Save the Tiger, still not there, I think that's a Paramount. Mimbo no Ona, or Taxing Woman, the film that sadly cost Itami his life, but it's a fun little film about Yakuza. Intacto, a wonderful Spanish film with Max von Sydow. Lawn Dogs, an early Sam Rockwell, Christopher McDonald, but it's wonderfully offbeat. In the Line of Duty, the FBI Murders, which again is a TV movie with David Soul and the guy from Tremors. I seem to have completely forgotten his name, not Kevin Bacon. Passion Fish, obviously I mentioned a couple of John Sayles, just examples. Passion Fish and City of Hope I mentioned. Sleuth, again Joseph Mankiewicz, Larry Olivier, Michael Caine. The remake with Michael Caine and Jude Law is all over Blu-ray, but the original is still no Blu-ray. Again, if you know that there is, please let me know. David Mamet's Homicide, arguably his greatest film, still not actually in Blu-ray. Citizen X, again it's an HBO, but it's a wonderful serial killer film with Stephen Ray and Donald Sutherland, Max von Sydow. Le Boucher by Chabrol in general needs a lot more Blu-rays. Days and Nights in the Forest by Saijit Ray, again Saijit Ray needs more. My American Uncle by Alan Resnay, which for me is a truly great film. It does have a French only Blu-ray with just the French dialogue, which I could kind of follow probably, but I would prefer to have one with English subtitles. Mr. Death, the Errol Morris documentary, which is a wonderful little film. You can probably see why that doesn't have a Blu-ray, to be fair. The Music of Chance with James Spader and Mandy Patinkin. And Emmett Walsh. North Dallas 40 with Nick Nolte. Oh, What a Lovely War, again another kind of strange one, directed by Richard Attenborough, an all-star cast. The World War I musical, you'd have thought that would have a Blu-ray by this point. Defence of the Realm, a lovely little British thriller with Denham Elliott, Gabriel Byrne and Greta Scacchi. Gozu, the Takashi Miike, one of his many films that goes that way and then goes that way. And 32 short films with Glenn Gould, Francois Girard's wonderful biopic that does the biopic in a fresh and new way. So that's the 29 from my original videos that are still awaiting a Blu-ray release. Again, there's reasons why they don't have Blu-ray releases, but again, let me know if I have missed. I did a check before shooting this video. As far as I know, these don't have Blu-ray releases, but you can let me know if they do. So we'll get to the 21 titles that in the 2.5 years since those videos went up have had a Blu-ray release. 3 of them I don't actually have in Blu-ray. I know, what a hypocrite after making all those demands. Biloxi Blues has a German Blu-ray, which I still haven't picked up. The Milagro and Beanfield War, the wonderful Robert Redford film, has a German Blu-ray and a US release, which to be honest I'd completely forgotten it was actually on Blu-ray. And Yorgos Lanthimos Alps, which I didn't actually know had a Region A Blu-ray until I actually just looked it up before doing this video, so I'll have to pick that up. I think there's a Kino Lorber, they did Kineta as well. I was just a wee bit queried it because it seemed to say it was in English with English subtitles, but it should be Greek with English subtitles. Well, maybe I have to research that before ordering it, but that would be excellent because that would be another Lanthimos on Blu-ray. The other 18 I have picked up in physical media now that they've actually got a Blu-ray release, but I'll just mention John Sayles' Matewan wasn't on my original 50. I had a couple of other John Sayles, but Matewan on Criterion, I mean I did a video on it when it was announced it was getting a release, and then I did a video once it got a release. I love Matewan, I love John Sayles, and Matewan getting on Blu-ray, especially on Criterion, was almost a religious experience for me. So that wasn't on the original list, but I thought I would just mention it because it's such a landmark release for me personally anyway. So we're now into the 18 that I actually have on physical on Blu-ray. First one is Michael Mamet. David Mamet's Things Change, which so far is my favourite release of 2021. I did a random review of it fairly recently. Just a beautiful little film with Donna Michi and Joe Mantegna, Robert Prosky. It is a PG and it's a Mamet film, so that's something to be. Obviously, Spanish Prisoner was later, but at the time this was a surprise, and it's not very sweary, unlike quite a lot of David Mamet films. Just beautiful job by Indicator releasing it. In the video I had it on DVD that was a flip DVD with absolutely no details on it. So finally getting it on Blu-ray, I was so excited when it was announced that Things Change was finally getting a Blu-ray release. Next is, yes, I'm a weirdo, but this might be my favourite Francis Ford Coppola film. It's Gardens of Stone, his Vietnam film with James Caan, Angelica Houston, James Earl Jones, D.B. Sweeney, Mary Stuart Masterton. Again, another wonderful Indicator release. Next is Mr. Vampire. This is also on Eureka, but this Nova Media is a multi-region, so that's why I haven't picked it up on Eureka as well. That's a fun Hong Kong horror comedy, which has been in my life for over 30 years, and it's fantastic. Next is Lonely Are the Brave with Kirk Douglas and Walter Matthau. This is a wonderful kind of western, but it's western hits the modern world. This has also got Kino Lorber. This is a German media book release of it, but it's also got Kino Lorber, I believe. The German one's the Koch Media Group. Another one that was on the list, which has now got a Blu-ray, is The Riverman, which is a really underrated little serial killer film with the wonderful underrated himself, Bruce Greenwood, from 2010, with Carrie Ellis as Bundy. Bruce Greenwood is the investigator that goes to interview Bundy, very much like the Thomas Harris books. Next, Peter O'Toole in the wonderful My Favourite Year. This is a Warner Archive, directed by Richard Benjamin. One of my favourite comedies of all time, even though the lead character's slightly annoying, but Peter O'Toole is just magnificent. A couple of more Kino Lorbers, Made for Each Other was on the list, with Carol Lombard and James Stewart. It's good to see Kino Lorber releasing a bunch of Carol Lombard films. Since they released that, they did a 3-film collection 1. There's a 3-film collection 2 coming out in Blu-ray by Kino Lorber quite soon on Carol Lombard, which is excellent. Next is Gone to Earth on Kino Lorber, the Powell and Pressburger underrated film, because obviously this is the Wild Heart, the butchered David Selznick version, but this one has Gone to Earth as a special feature, which is in HD. There's 2 commentaries, one in each film. I would highly recommend picking this up if you've got a multi-region player and you love Powell and Pressburger. So finally, Gone to Earth actually has a proper high definition print, even though it's actually just an extra on the Wild Heart, which is the butchered version. Next, Michael Haneke's Funny Games, the remake, which he did in America, has been on Blu-ray for ages, but Funny Games, the original German film, just came to Criterion. Was it last year or the year before? It's hard to keep track. Another big one that I was waiting for years to come to Blu-ray, and then 3 come at once. It's Crash, Cronenberg. That's a German media book. That's the Criterion, Region A. And that's the Arrow. I kind of had to get 3 crashes. Again, I did a video on a 3-way car crash. You can check that out. Next is Kim Ji-woon's A Bittersweet Life, was on the list as well. Again, at the time of doing the video, I think there was like a German or a French Blu-ray, but again they didn't have English subtitles. and any excuse to show off the Bud Blue version, which I've done in probably about 10 different videos, but I'm going to show it off again. Bittersweet Life, the Bud Blue Steelbook, which is gorgeous. Next, another really big one for me. Daisuke Beppu's recently did an overview of it, so I would go check out on his channel. It's way better than the random review I did on it in my channel fairly recently. But it's Alan J. Pakula's Parallax View, arguably the greatest film of the 70s nobody talks about. Again, this is a Region A Blu-ray, hopefully we'll get a Region B at some point. From 1974, this was one of the ones on the list that, along with John Sayles films and Crash, was really high up on the please Blu-ray me. Next, another one that was high on the list, which now has a Warner Archive Blu-ray, Ernst Lubitsch 1940 masterpiece Shop Around the Corner, Margaret Sullivan and James Stewart. The good thing about Warner Archive, most of them are multi-region. I might be wrong about that, but quite a large percentage of the ones that I have are certainly multi-region, so that's good if you don't have a Region A player. Next, another biggie that I think we all waited for a while to get on Blu-ray, and then Criterion released it, Local Hero by Bill Forsyth. Bill Forsyth is such an underrated director, probably because he only made 11 films, but a lot of them are absolute gems. And when Local Hero was announced, again, this is a Region A, but there is a Region B Blu-ray of it. It certainly put a smile on my face. Which segues nicely to smiles on the face. It's The Man Who Laughs. This was the Flicker Alley release that I picked up. Paul Lenny's film with just an amazing, inspirational, educational and forward-thinking performance by Conrad Veidt. And then Masters of Cinema released it, so obviously I double dipped because the Flicker Alley is a Region A. A wonderful, wonderful film, an amazing performance by Veidt, tremendous release. I would highly recommend The Man Who Laughs. Next, another huge one, I mean monumental. This had been talked about for years, rumoured to come to Criterion. It finally did. Come and See by Klimov, in my opinion, greatest war film of all time, one of the greatest films of all time. And they did make it. I think Criterion realised the import of the title because they made it a Region A and B release. That cover just tells a story. I mean, if you're a film fan in any way, shape or form, you have to have Come and See. You might not watch it very often, but the great thing about it is if you watch it once, those images are in your head for life. You can't actually get rid of them even if you wanted to. So that was a huge, huge announcement, getting a Blu-ray, because we'd heard about it for years, and then it finally happened, and it was kind of like, is this a dream? No, it's Come and See in high definition. That can be a good thing and a bad thing depending on the review, because it is a beautiful, horrible film. Next, The Big Clock. I had The Big Clock in the list, and lo and behold, it's now got a Blu-ray release on Arrow Academy. Obviously Arrow Academy will be no longer with us, but hopefully Arrow in some form still release little film noirs. Remade as No Way Out with Kevin Costner. This is Ray Milland at his shifty best, Charles Laughton is his villainous best. Just a great little film. And then finally, so the 21st out of the 50 from my videos that I had hoped for a Blu-ray release, it's Corrida's Air Doll, which if you watched my guest on Daisuke Beppu's channel, I did state that Air Doll is my favourite Corrida film, just because I'm weird. Again, so happy to get this on Region. This is a Region B release from Matchbox Films. It's just a wonderful film. There's a Q&A, there's a Cannes Film Festival behind the scenes, and there's an archive making of the Airdall, wonderful little film that's not as sleazy and disgusting as it sounds. So I think I've done quite well to get 21 out of the 50 films onto Blu-ray. Let's hope the other 29, let's hope I can do this video in another 2.5 years and the other 29 will be on high definition, if high definition still exists. I know the narrative is physical media is dying. It's certainly creeping up a little bit. Man vs. Film did a really good video on how special editions seem to be less and less, or seem to be more and more kind of repeated material, and how the prices seem to be creeping up a little bit. But we are getting really nice releases. Yes, some of the releases are rehashed or whatever, but we are getting things like Crash and things like the Parallax View finally coming out. Hopefully, on a personal level, hopefully more John Sayles films come to high definition. So hopefully the next 2.5 years we'll have more exciting releases. But that's just a little window into my strange mind. 21 out of 50 is not too bad. And here's to the next 29. So please let me know in the comments below. If any of the ones that I said don't have a Blu-ray release actually do, please let me know, because I'd be super excited to find out that they do. And again, please leave your comments on which films that don't have a Blu-ray release that you're desperate for a Blu-ray release. I know James Cameron's Abyss is always in the top of everybody's lists, and I'm not going to go into another pile of ones that should have Blu-ray releases because we'll be here all day. So thanks very much for watching. Please leave your comments below, and why don't you even subscribe if you feel like it. So this is Saul Chironin Films. No, this is Saul Chironin from Saul Chironin Films. I got overexcited there. Saying farewell, and here's to more Blu-ray releases.